and I live in Fort Worth, which is where my office is. The company that I work for is based in Maryland, and it's called WB Grimes and Associates, and I oversee the sports division here in Fort Worth. And just a quick introduction to Sports Advisory Group and what we do. Mr. Frederick already mentioned a lot of it, but we work with professional sports team owners and investors to oversee and manage their ownership transactions. We have primarily worked in minor league sports with baseball teams and hockey teams. Those have been kind of our two focus areas, but we've worked with NASCAR. We've worked with a few major league sports teams, and we've also gotten into movies. We recently did a couple of movies, one that came out a few months ago called American Made that starred Tom Cruise. We've got one that's in development right now that's a Brad Pitt movie that is called He Wanted the Moon. And that's been very interesting for me to be involved in those deals. It's a pretty simple job that we have. I mean, we connect investors with opportunities, and it's a company that's been around since about 2012. The company itself has been around since the 1950s, but the sports division was started about 2010, I think. My background was that I started I went to high school in Duncanville, south of Dallas, and started my my college career in Kansas, and then realized that it probably wasn't for me there, so I moved back and went to UTA and studied sociology. Did not have any, I really didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to do at that time. I knew that I wanted to make the world a better place. I knew that I wanted to contribute to making our society a more positive place, and also at the same time knew that I loved sports. I grew up playing sports. It was a big part of my family, it was something that really got me excited. So I started my career actually with the YMCA in Dallas, the Oak Cliff YMCA. I was running youth sports programs and doing everything from making sure the fields were chalked for baseball games, that referees were showing up for basketball games, and that coaches and parents were staying civil.
That's what Zach's at the Frisco YMCA right now.
Frisco Y.
Frisco Y, the sports director.
Very good, yes. Well, that's a great place to start. You learn a lot about the intricacies of sports, for sure. After I left there, I spent 2 or 3 years there, and I was able to work for a couple of years in the corporate world, working for a large publicly traded Fortune 500 company. But then I had an opportunity to join a pro hockey team that was playing in Fort Worth. In fact, Brad Lukowich was one of our players during the lockout season in 2006. He was one of the first guys to decide that he still wanted to stay fit and ready for games, and played with our team then. But I worked for the Fort Worth Brahmas, and I started there as kind of an entry-level sales rep. I was selling sponsorships, signage, that sort of thing for the Brahmas when I joined them in 1998. And I think, Mr. Frederick, you were
Arizona.
You were
no, I was still here with the Stars. I got the Arizona. Central League was 02.
Yeah. Yeah, and ECHL before that, right?
Yeah.
Spent 8 years with the Brahmas, and through that time there, I made it a point to try to learn as much as I could about the business and improve myself every day and contribute to the success of the business. And was able, fortunately to be able to grow with the company and take on more responsibilities, bigger titles, management of people, and things such as that. And after 8 years there, I was the executive vice president. I had an opportunity to move to Corpus Christi, Texas, where I spent a year as their assistant general manager, and then I got my first team president opportunity in the ECHL. Spent 3 years in Mississippi with the ECHL affiliate. At that time, we were affiliated with 2 teams, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Philadelphia Flyers. And that was a great experience because I learned even more about business. I met some wonderful people, and it was really an opportunity for me to kind of, construct a team. It was a team that it was a community, a city that was recovering from Hurricane Katrina. They had, our arena was on the beach, basically, on the Gulf of Mexico, and had taken on significant damage because of Hurricane Katrina and had to take off 2 years. There were also 40,000 homeless people, or 40,000 people left homeless after Hurricane Katrina. So the whole community was rebuilding, and it was quite a time for us to return to hockey, to return entertainment to that area. And then from there, I got a chance to work with a company called Consolidated Sports Holdings, which is a Canadian company that owns several teams in the U.S. They own a Western Hockey League team in Everett, Washington. When I was with them, they owned a team in Arizona. We acquired, while I was with them, a team in Amarillo, Texas, a hockey team. And then we acquired the Texas Tornado, who played here in Frisco. They also have a couple of baseball teams. Now they sold Texas Tornado, who moved to North Richland Hills. This was after I left. They own a team in Peoria, Illinois now. So they own several teams. But I had a chance to work with them and oversaw a couple of their teams. And then I had a chance to join Sports Advisory Group. I actually met my boss, Larry Grimes, the founder of the company. I actually met him through LinkedIn. I saw that he posted a position, said that he was looking for someone to oversee their Western operations, and I replied and said, "Let's talk." He said, "Okay, let's talk." I went to Maryland for an interview and got the job. So now it's really 3 of us who run our company. Me, my partner Tommy George, who Mr. Frederick mentioned, and Larry Grimes, the founder of the company. And we work with, we meet with team owners all over the country. Some big, some small. I think Mr. Frederick mentioned the esports. We recently completed a deal, I think in October, November, was when we closed with Infinite Esports Holdings, which is based here in Frisco. I was lucky enough to get a tour from Chris Cheney and Simon Bennett, their VP of Marketing, last week, actually last Wednesday, and it was phenomenal. 73 employees now. Last time I met with Chris was probably in November. We met at a Starbucks because he didn't have an office. Now he's got a full office with 73 people and is making big waves in esports. But we were able to do that. That was with the Texas Rangers. Some owners, not the Rangers themselves, but some of the owners of the Texas Rangers and some other teams that I don't know that they've been announced yet or not, but several team owners from different sports even have invested in Infinite Esports Holdings, and we were able to put that deal together. I also work for the Rangers with their minor league organizations. That would be, they recently acquired 2 teams, one in California that they moved to North Carolina, and another one in North Carolina, the Hickory Crawdads, that they acquired a couple of months, well, I think in October, and I work with the ownership of the Rangers to get those deals done, as well as general counsel for the Rangers and several others. So that's, I guess, really kind of a brief description of what I do and who we are and how I got to where I am. And I think one of the important things that we want to talk about today is kind of how you guys can connect and position yourselves to be business executives in sports, but really anywhere. I mean, I think because you're taking the sports course is a good indication that you've got an interest in sports business. But the reality is that you want to be prepared for any business, especially at this point earlier in your future. I think really one of the things that I learned as I went along that became very valuable, that sometimes I did not do so well, and as I learned to do it better, it became more beneficial. And that's two things, I guess. The two things that I've learned become very beneficial. Number one is just asking for advice, asking people who may be strangers to you to tell you what they know, to answer questions that you might have. Whether it's a school advisor, a business executive, anyone who may have been there and done that, who can help you navigate the world of putting together your future, mapping out your future. These are important for a few reasons. Number one, it'll help you map your future. Number two, it'll help you create relationships with people who might help you down the road. They obviously, hopefully, can help you right now, but who knows what will happen 5 or 10 or 20 years from now when you need to reach back out to them again. I can use my relationship with Leon, or Mr. Frederick, sorry.
Don't worry. They call me other things, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. You should have heard them when you weren't in the room. I lost my train of thought.
How we know
I could use my relationship with him as an example of someone that I think we've both been able to kind of rely on one another to help us with some advice as we are in certain situations. And that's something that, even though we don't really know each other that well, I mean, we're not best buddies and we don't hang out a lot, but I think we both respect one another enough that if we need some advice in a certain area, we can pick up the phone and call one another. And there are a lot of people that I've made relationships with like that over my career, people that, well, some that I've become very close with, and others that I'm mere acquaintances with, but that respect me enough and that I, of course, respect, that can give me some advice when I find myself in a situation that I've never been in and that I need, or I may know that they've been a part of, and they can help me weigh all of the elements that go into the decision making so that I can make the most appropriate decision. So I would say one of the most important things to do is to ask for advice. Again, school counselors helping you find your way, helping you navigate as you go to university beyond here. Management after school, management with companies that you may be working for or working with, or in some cases may want to work for. And then number two is kind of goes along with that, and that would just be networking. I'm hoping that all of you are on LinkedIn or joining LinkedIn, which is probably one of the greatest inventions, I think, for sports business people, not just sports business, but business people who want to connect with, to find and connect with people that may share similar interests and may be interested in developing relationships, mutually beneficial relationships or partnerships. But I think for you guys at this age, or at this stage in your life, using LinkedIn to connect with people, with those advisors, to learn more about what they're doing, what they did to get there, what they look for in good employees, what they think or what they feel or what they have found have made their successful employees successful, why those people are successful. Those are things that you're going to be able to learn by networking through LinkedIn. And we'll step back and talk about how to reach out to those people. And I hope I'm not repeating things that Mr. Frederick has already taught you, or if I am, hopefully I'm solidifying or confirming what he's told you.
No, I think you're confirming not only what I've said, but what other speakers have said. So I mean,
Okay, good.
It's a reinforcement.
Well, then I'll pound it in your brains.
Yeah.
Connecting with people on LinkedIn, here's my strategy. And I use this. I mean, and it sounds like other people do, and the reason is that it works. And what I do is I find out someone who I think I need to talk to or get to know, and I send them a connection request. I customize it, and I say, so-and-so. Sometimes it's as simple as, let's connect, and my name, but quite often it's, I enjoyed your interview on whatever podcast, or I saw a news article, or I admire what the Detroit Red Wings do, or whatever. I give them a kind of a compliment, I guess, and then I ask them to connect. Hopefully, within the next few days, they will connect, and at that point, I reach out again, and I say thank you for accepting my request to connect. I look forward to getting to know you more. In fact, if you've got some time for a quick chat, I'd like to get you on the phone maybe for 10 or 15 minutes just so I can introduce myself and learn more about what you do. That, hopefully, will lead to a phone call where I can ask them questions about what they do. Some of the same questions I talked about earlier. Tell me what, it's a little bit different for me now, I think, than it would be for you, but so I'll say maybe what I would say if I were you, which would be tell me about what you do. What do you look for in good employees? What have made your successful employees so successful? What are some of the challenges that you face every day? What advice would you give someone like me? Those are questions that I think you should be asking these people. And I think if you have not already started doing this, I would suggest maybe just once a week even, log into LinkedIn and send out 10 or 20 requests. Do a search for people that you think would be worth your while to connect with. And then you've developed a relationship. But it goes beyond that. And once you've made that connection, whether or not you've had a conversation with them, you should pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to the sports industry. Pay attention to sports business. If you see that their team or the organization, I shouldn't just say team because there's so many other arms or branches of sports, but if you see that what they're doing, what their organization is doing, maybe they're working with Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA, or maybe they got a huge sponsorship with Chipotle or something, I don't know, but say that you've seen them or their business in the news. You can send them just a quick note. You're a contact of theirs. You can send them a quick note, really just to let them know that you're paying attention. And I do this almost every day. I'll see somebody who I may not really know, but that I'm connected with in the news. And I do have a bunch of Google alerts that I get every morning on my email that I follow because I want to know what these people are doing. But I'll send a note and just say, saw the news that you guys are now partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. Congratulations, keep it up. That's it. Front of mind awareness. It's them knowing that I care about what they're doing and I'm paying attention to what they're doing. And the reason that I do this is partly because I like to let them know that I'm paying attention and that I'm here. But secondly, there might come a day where I need to reach out to them, or that I want to I need, that I have to get their support or their advice, or that I need